What if the biggest crisis in the African church right now is not atheism, not Islam, not secularism, not even the rise of modern distractions, but silence? A silence so loud that it's causing an entire generation to slowly walk away from church buildings while still praying at night, still crying in worship, still opening their Bibles when life gets heavy, still searching for meaning in a world that feels empty. So the real question is not, why is Gen Z losing faith? The real question is deeper. Why is Gen Z losing trust in church? Because here's the uncomfortable truth many don't want to say out loud. Gen Z didn't stop believing in God. They stopped believing in what they see representing God. And most leaders don't even realize it's happening, because Gen Z doesn't leave loudly. They don't make announcements. They don't argue in public. They don't create conflict. They just slowly disappear. One missed Sunday, then two, then a month, then silence. Before we go deeper, pause for a second and comment, God is still real. And if you believe conversations like this can heal the church instead of destroy it, then subscribe right now. Because this is not an attack, it's a diagnosis. And sometimes, healing starts with honesty. Let's fix a major misunderstanding right from the start. Gen Z is not spiritually dead. They are not lost causes. They are not uninterested in God. They are spiritually overwhelmed. This is a generation that is constantly exposed to everything: information overload, emotional pressure, financial anxiety, identity confusion, constant comparison. And yet, despite all this noise, they are still searching for God. You will find them watching midnight prayer videos in silence, typing into search bars, "Why do I feel empty even when everything is okay? Does God still hear me? Why do I feel far from God?" You will find them crying quietly while worship music plays through headphones, not in church, not on a stage, but alone, in their room, in taxis, in school bathrooms, in the middle of the night. So the hunger is not gone, it is simply gone underground. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes it is not the message of Jesus they reject, it is the environment representing him. And Gen Z notices everything. They notice hypocrisy, performance, selective morality, hidden scandals, image obsession, control disguised as leadership. And once trust breaks, attendance becomes optional, not because they hate God, but because they're confused about the system. If you've ever felt that tension, comment, "I still believe," because you are not alone in that struggle. There was a time when church stories stayed inside church walls. If something happened in a service, it stayed in that building. If a leader failed, only a few people knew. If a testimony was shared, it reached maybe a small community. That time is gone. Now we live in a different world. One video can spread across continents in minutes. One testimony can go viral overnight. One scandal can reshape how millions view church globally. And Gen Z grew up inside this reality, so they don't just listen, they compare. They don't just receive information, they cross-check it. One church says, "Don't question leadership." Another church says, "Bring your questions." One pastor lives in luxury beyond explanation. Another openly breaks down finances and accountability. And Gen Z starts asking uncomfortable questions, like, why does transparency feel rare? Why does questioning feel like rebellion? Why do poor members sacrifice more than leaders? Why does holiness sometimes look like performance? And instead of answers, many institutions respond with silence or anger or labels like rebellious, confused, or backsliding. But here's the truth. Gen Z is not afraid of questions. They're afraid of fake answers. So instead of stopping their questions, they take them online. They research, they compare, they observe patterns. They discuss in private communities. And slowly, trust shifts away from institutions toward independent voices. If you're still watching this, take a moment and subscribe, because this conversation is just getting deeper. Somewhere along the way, parts of the modern church started becoming performance spaces, not always intentionally, but gradually. Lights became brighter, stages became bigger, clips became more edited, messages became more curated. Everything became presentation-driven. But behind all the polish, many young believers started feeling something missing: authenticity. Because Gen Z can detect performance very quickly. They can feel when something is overly rehearsed. They can sense when emotion is staged. They can tell when sincerity is missing. And so they begin asking questions like, is this faith or is this branding? Is this encounter or is this production? Is this transformation or is this moment for social media? And once that question enters the mind, everything changes. Because Gen Z doesn't just want truth. They want truth that works in real life, not just on Sunday, but on Monday morning, when anxiety hits, when money is low, when relationships break, when no one is watching. That is where authenticity matters most. If you agree that real faith must be real beyond the stage, comment "Real faith matters." Now we enter one of the most sensitive but important conversations: mental health. For a long time, in many African contexts, emotional struggle was often misunderstood. Young people were told, just pray more. It's a spiritual attack. Don't speak negativity. Stop being weak. But behind closed doors, many were silently dealing with depression, anxiety, burnout, trauma, loneliness, and identity pressure. And they had nowhere safe to process it. So Gen Z begins asking a new question: can I love God and still need therapy? And for some people, that question feels uncomfortable. But for Gen Z, it is necessary, because they are realizing something important. Faith and emotional health are not enemies, but ignoring emotional pain does not make it disappear. It only makes it deeper. So instead of choosing between God and healing, they are trying to understand how both can exist together. And here's the tension: when the church doesn't provide space for emotional honesty, people will find it somewhere else. If this part resonates with you, take a moment and subscribe, because we are not avoiding difficult conversations here. We are facing them. The most dangerous Gen Z believer is not the one who is angry. It is not the one who argues online. It is not the one who openly rejects faith. It is the quiet one, the one who slowly disengages. No posts, no arguments, no explanations, just distance. They stop going to church. They stop asking questions. They stop engaging spiritually, not because they hate God, but because they are tired, emotionally tired, spiritually tired, mentally tired. They reached a point where faith felt heavy instead of life-giving, and often the church doesn't notice this group until much later. But here's the twist: they did not stop searching, they simply changed where they search. Now they're on YouTube sermons, worship live streams, prayer videos at night, podcasts during travel, private Bible apps. The hunger is still there. The trust in systems is what changed. This is why silence is so dangerous, because silence looks like peace, but sometimes it is distance. If you've ever taken a break from church but still believe in God, comment, "I'm still searching." So maybe Gen Z didn't leave God. Maybe they left confusion. Maybe they left contradiction. Maybe they left environments where questions are punished instead of answered. Maybe they left systems that felt more like performance than presence. But they did not leave the hunger. And that is the most important part. Because hunger means hope is still alive. And in episode 2, we go even deeper. We talk about money in the church, celebrity pastors, prosperity fatigue, control and manipulation, the commercialization of faith, and what Gen Z actually wants from the church today. Because this gets more uncomfortable, but also more hopeful. The truth is not always easy to face, but it is the only path to real healing. If you are still here, subscribe now so you don't miss episode 2. And comment, "The truth must heal," because your voice matters in this conversation. Not as a critic, not as a spectator, but as part of a generation trying to find its way back to what is real. Let us keep the hope alive. We are not alone. Together always. Amen.